Crystal says we are getting our land cleared, so I'm going to have to bear raw land that is ready to plant. What can I do through the winter as far as prep and getting? Okay, what you're going to first want to do, and it's going to sound crazy, and anybody can do this, even if you've got a small little lot you want to do. Take a sample of it and get it tested. Figure out what your soil lacking is, especially if you want to do a really big garden. If you don't, you just got a small little 10 by 12 area that you want to do. All your leaves coming off the trees now. Pile them there. I will be honest. All of our manure from the horses gets piled up, and we bring that and we put it in our area, and we just let it sit and marinate all winter long. And that way, all that stuff can process. If you don't have chickens and you want to throw your food scraps out there, it'll add nutrition to your soil. Coffee grounds, eggshells, all of that is good for putting that nutrition into the soil. What I typically do is we feed the scraps to chickens, and then what the chickens leave us, we put down on the garden. And because it is sitting for a while, I don't have to worry about if it's been composted enough. But that definitely this time of year, definitely start if you know where your garden's going to be, start piling it on. If you're cutting a bunch of like grass or whatever, throw your glass clippings in that area. If I want chickens, what all do I need? Truthfully, not much. Mine literally live in a 5 by 15-foot dog run with a cover on it. Their sleeping perches, I can't think what to call right now, are actually 2x6s that we put through the rung. This time of year, they will get a tarp put on it just to block the wind. When it gets cold, we'll take hay from the barn and we'll throw it in there for them to be in. But you can make an elaborate spot. The main thing I'd say is if you're in an area with predators, and that's one reason they stay completely in a closed area, is just keeping them in. If you've got the area where you don't have the fox and the coyotes and hawks and all that, then you can free range. You have a little more options. With us, we don't. For me to keep my chickens, I have to keep them up. But as I said, whatever the kids and the dogs and everything don't eat, the chickens do. They pretty much 90% of their meals come from my kitchen. So just eating what we have left. So we do a little bit of supplementing with feed, but not much. What can I start inside through the winter? This is the time where you're gonna just plan your garden. What do you want to grow? A lot of your seed companies are now having 50% off sales. So you can go in and get your seeds and have them all bought before the spring when everybody decides they want to be gardeners, and everything gets sold out. I know, I want to say a couple days ago, our local co-op was actually selling full-size hens at a discounted price just so they could get them sold. So this time of year, you can plan your garden, kind of get your soil right, start purchasing. As you said, if you want to start canning or something and you're not quite ready to process it now, start looking to buy your canner. Start looking to buy your jars. Another great place to do this time of year too is go to estate sales. A lot of your older homes and old farmers, their family doesn't want the canning jar. As long as the canning jar is not cracked and and you can get new seals for it, you can buy the old jars. We have the red dirt. It's okay if you've got red dirt. I know many people that grow quite a bit in red dirt. What I would do is just start, as I said, throw those extra leaves and all of that in there. You can call around to some of your horse farms or your cow farms. A lot of them will give you manure, and you can lay that down. But yeah, the leaves and the manure and all of that will just add a layer of nutrition for your plants. I know a couple years ago, my father literally about once a week would show up at my horse farm and load his truck up. And that's when I was boarding quite a lot, and he would literally take it with it. Yeah, I plan to. Let's see, Chris says, yes, I plan to do that too. Want to can and save all the food. Yeah, and I said that's what this time of year is when. Even with me, been doing this forever. This is when I start looking to say, okay, what do I need for next year? What did I not quite have enough on? Because this time of year, okay, all the canning stuff is pretty much being, I don't want to say discontinued, but they're getting it off the shelf. It's not that time. So that's when you can go get your extra jars. I am a thrifter. I hit Goodwill. I hit all of your different ones, and that's when I start looking for, shoot, my bread maker that we have that we use was from one of those stores. A lot of my, you can get canning pods because people don't. Yes, they're getting into it now, but a lot of people they're like, okay, mom doesn't want it. We're just going to get rid of it. And so this is when you really start just kind of collecting your stuff for what you're going to need. And I can work on you guys a list of just kind of what you're going to need kind of the springtime to really start canning and processing. Yes, my grandmother and mom are always at, yes, sales and Goodwill. They are always sending me things asking if I want it. And they know I like old stuff. Yeah, I was going to say, that's where I get a lot of my stuff is thrift stores. Because, as I said, this is an art that people are wanting to come back to. But there was a big chunk of time where nobody wanted to take the time to either do it. I know sourdough has come back grand, but at one time nobody did it. I mean, it was one of the things that jar was always on the counter, and so we were used to it. But it's one thing that some people don't know. So go in there if you want to get like great old mixing bowls for like your sourdoughs and your doughs and your breads. That's where I typically get mine. And then the big joke is if the kids drop it and it gets broke, it's okay. It only cost me a few dollars. So, yeah, they got a huge stoneware mixing bowl from Italy for cheap. Now I'm jealous.